So today we're going to look at Connecticut's past by looking at some pretty incredible artifacts. Joining me now is the Connecticut State archaeologist, Nick Bellantoni. Nice to have you here, Nick.
Thanks for having me.
Pretty interesting job you have.
Very interesting. No moss grows.
That's for sure. What type of archaeological sites are there in Connecticut?
You know, we have a great diversity of archaeological sites because this was the first place of European contact with Native peoples back in the 17th century. So as a result, we have Native American sites that go back 10,000 years, right after the glacial period. Cultural development of Native American tribes right into the time of contact. And we've got the, the colonists came here, the farms, the water-powered industry, right into the 20th century.
So much history right here.
There's a lot of history in Connecticut, and it all doesn't come in books. A lot of it comes in artifacts and archaeological sites.
And as your job as the state archaeologist, what are you doing on a day-to-day basis?
We wear a lot of hats, but primarily it's one of education, research, and preservation. I work very closely with all municipalities in the state of Connecticut. Looking at land use decision making that might affect an archaeological site.
Oh, sure.
I also have responsibilities with the medical examiner's office and police, state and local police, whenever human skeletal remains are uncovered. So I get involved in some pretty interesting things. I also teach at UConn.
You do? Well, you're a busy man. We had that skeletal remain found in New Haven last year, I think, right?
That's exactly right. When Superstorm Sandy came through, it blew down the Lincoln Oak on the New Haven Green, and when it did, the root mat exposed skeletal remains.
Wow.
And so it turned out it was part of the original cemetery of the city of New Haven, going back to the 1600s. And 6 individuals, the bones of 6 individuals were there. So we had to work. We're working very closely with Yale University and Quinnipiac University on doing the analysis of that.
Pretty interesting stuff. Nick, what did you bring with you here today?
Well, I thought I'd bring just an assortment of artifacts from the colonial era and also certainly into Native American archaeology. And what we have here is a stoneware jug that actually would hold various beverages. We're not quite sure,
beverages, we'll stick with that.
Maybe beer and so forth. But this is a stoneware jug that comes from actually the area of Preston, Connecticut.
Okay.
But it dates back to about the late 18th century, early 19th century. This is actually a colonial era wine bottle.
Oh, wow.
And one of the things I like about it is it's broken. And that's helpful to us because, basically what we receive in archaeology are mostly broken materials that we reconstruct back together again. But this is a wine bottle that goes back to colonial times, and it was better than the water they were drinking.
Well, it's interesting because you could find some of the cultural traditions or background with these pieces,
Absolutely.
right?
And you can see what marketplaces and also the status in terms of socioeconomics. For example, this jug is most of the clay is from Amboy, New Jersey, which is a very expensive clay, a very high quality clay, but it's mixed with local clay, so it's a little bit more downscale in terms of its size. And this is just a Victorian era medicine bottle, and basically before CVS, people went to the pharmacy and had their prescriptions and medicines refilled. And they just kept coming back, refilling the bottles. Before plastic, and we throw these things away.
Sure.
But that was in everyone's household would be a whole box full of these types of bottles. Over here, these little chips of stone, many confused to be Native American, but actually what they are gun flints.
Oh.
These would have been the flintlock rifles and pistols, where the hammer used to come down and spark it and set off the gunpowder. And these 3 are actually European flints, and they were used for pistols.
Oh,
and
how
they
interesting.
They date probably late 18th century, about the time of the American Revolution.
Sure. Dick, where can we see these artifacts in case you don't have a chance to watch Connecticut Style? But is there a location?
Well, yes, we have our Museum of Natural History and Archaeology Center up at the University of Connecticut. We're right in the heart of the campus, and we have many artifacts on exhibit and with storylines talking about each one of them.
Well, we'll find you there. Of course, we'll have some information on our website, WTNH.com. Just click on Style. Dick, I feel so educated. Thank you for all the info.
I'm happy to be here.
All right, stay with us. More Connecticut Style after the break. We'll be right back.